Hello and welcome to the hard sell where the stick in the swill-bucket rattles back. So we just spent a full punishing hour on TVAM with Ian Melrose and Kevin and his family and what I now realise is a scabbing Jenny Hanley. Turns out she did a few of those cheap as-free good food news things for Sainsbury's in the first months of TVAM, which worked as both a breakfast television gimmick from the days when they didn't know how to advertise in the morning and a way of getting one over its rivals by advertising on the station at all. A bunch of quickly bashed out 20-seconders with no post-production, starring a front woman amenable to scabbing, being that most depressing of things, a hot Tory. Now that's a run-on sentence. So anyway, after a massive undertaking like that, what else can we do but grab a random commercial break and run through it, hoping to make at least a quarter of an hour? So that's what we're doing. Or as we like to say around here,
have a break.
In response to certain viewer requests, let's grab something from one of the old ITV franchises that came and went before even I was born. Specifically, ATV in the Midlands. One more for luck. Thank you. We're coming out of an episode of The Incredible Hulk, with poor old Bill Bixby off on the road again as usual, being pursued by that sad piano.
If you're a luscious fruit...
Yes, it's a talking orange. No, it doesn't have a mouth. Why are you worried about this? It's not an advert for Outspan either, or it would be talking in a South African accent. Which, with the greatest of respect for my Afrikaans viewers, if I have any, which I probably don't, and I certainly won't after this, would be probably quite off-putting to the British ear, and ultimately detrimental to the advert. Sorry about that. Although I can't imagine you'd be that upset with the vast quantities of jam you've been consuming of late. If you know, you know. So anyway, what was the giant orange saying again? Because this is a situation where that's a valid question.
If you're a luscious fruit and you don't want to end up in a drink...
Well, my suggestion is to yell at the farmer when he comes to pick you. I mean, you're a talking orange. Even plucked from the tree is still talking. That's not exactly common. It'd be much more valuable to the farmer alive and chatting than pulped into juice. Anyone with enough wit to run an orange orchard should be able to figure that out.
You gotta disguise yourself like this.
Well, now you look like an orange in a hat. Or at best, a sunburned Father Guido Sarducci viewed from behind.
Ora like this.
And now a jaundiced Father Guido Sarducci from the front. What other SNL characters do you do?
Ora like this.
Well, that's the second worst Rosanna Dana costume I've ever seen.
Or like this.
Okay, so we get the wacky premise. Let's move on.
Boys, how'd you like to get into a really tasty disguise?
It's a trap.
More innocent victims of the voice of Fenella Fielding. Well, probably not innocent, really.
Quash.
Quash. A completely unremarkable fruit squash that is apparently still available in 2023. In fact, that should be its slogan. Quash. It's available.
Beautiful fruit in disguise.
Sir, there's an American. He wants to buy the Imperial Leather. Grossmore.
What?
Imperial Leather. One little family luxury. You won't want to change.
Well, that was relatable, wasn't it? This naked family bathing together in their tiered marble triple bath setup thing, surrounded by flowers and marble figurines and stained glass windows, finally being interrupted by their butler. They may even be bathing in acid milk. We might be taking aspiration a bit far, at least for 1978. First series of Dallas hasn't even aired in the UK yet. This is the last summer before the Winter of Discontent. Well, the thing about that is that this triple bath family of three setup was Imperial Leather's thing, and had been for several years by then. This family would be seen in various configurations, usually bathing in transit on some impossible vehicle, like this.
From the day you were married, you and your family have been working for life's little luxuries. Some you can only afford now and again.
Tahiti looks nice.
Simon, Tahiti.
Roger, Wilco.
But some luxuries you can afford every day of your life. Cousins Imperial Leather, the pure English soap that lasts so much longer. Cousins Imperial Leather.
The premise is actually a bit clearer there. These aren't just rich bastards. These people are impossibly, obscenely, unchristianly wealthy. Rich beyond the point of aspiration to the point of ridiculousness. The adverts are still basically too much in awe of them to actively take the piss, as they should, but the intention is still more or less clear. To forge a link between Imperial Leather soap and luxury by pushing the concept of luxury beyond the boundaries of reason itself. And as they carried on through the 80s, the aesthetic eventually shifted around them to make it acceptable. Give it 4 years ago, get to the other side of the Falklands War, this sort of opulence wouldn't really stand out in the average commercial break. Meanwhile, things escalated until the family eventually went off into space with their blessed soap. At this point, things had clearly gone so far the bubble needed to be burst, as it were, so Cousins hired Paul Merton to write and front a deliberately absurdist campaign instead.
Imperial Leather's range of shower gels, a little luxury in the privacy of your own home. Isn't that right, Mr. Trussell? Where's he gone?
The basic premise of the original version has made a comeback since then in Australia, albeit not for soap. Or for baths, in fact. Who has a bath anymore?
From the day you were married, you've been working to provide life's little luxuries. Some you can only afford now and again, but others you can enjoy every day of your life.
Tahiti looks nice.
Simon, Tahiti.
Cousins Imperial Leather Foam Burst. A new way to enjoy a little luxury every day.
Half-price Schreiber furniture at DFS.
Yes, even in 1978, there was a sale at DFS.
Tivoli bedroom furniture.
Did he just say tiddly bedroom furniture?
Tivoli bedroom furniture.
For Ken Dodd's Diddy men, no doubt.
And Pine Look hi-fi storage units at 50% discount on makers' recommended prices. These discontinued items start as low as £15.40 and are in stock now.
Fun with language. If you're going to sell a bunch of things at once, try to only mention the very lowest price of the lot. Prices start as low as $15.40. In other words, that's how much the cheapest thing in this photograph costs, which is probably the pillow. Not said aloud, however, is where they top out, £184, which is probably the cost of the wardrobe and chest of drawers deal. Everything else, the lamp, the nightstand and what have you, could be priced anywhere in between those two numbers. And there's quite a lot of space there. It's not quite as enticing if you put it like that, though.
DFS, Darlydale near Matlock.
Pause for everyone to break out their Abe Simpson impression. Matlock! Done. And yes, that wonky wooden-looking logo with the trees and things really does belong to the same DFS you see on the high street today. Sort of. Well, it is and it isn't. This, in 1978, is the OG DFS, when it was just a single furniture store in Darlydale, Derbyshire. I imagine one of those probably accounts for the D in DFS, or did at the time anyway. By 1982, they had a few other premises around the Midlands as well, whereupon they were brought out by Graham Kirkham, owner of Northern Upholstery. Instead of rebranding DFS with his company's name, he went the other way around and replaced his with theirs, and redesigned their logo so it looked less like the sort of thing you'd see in your local through-the-door ad mart. All that then remained was to hire Tom Adams as spokesman and build it into the constantly on sale juggernaut it is today. Back then it was much more quaint and desaturated, impressed just to be an out-of-town store.
Darlydale near Matlock.
Shush, here she comes. Move over. I've got to look my best.
She won't choose you. She wants silver-covered biscuits like mine.
Oh, how I wish I knew who made this. I've not been able to find a definitive record. One name, of course, does spring to mind, and if you're a regular viewer, you know whose it is. Looking at the almost frictionlessly smooth animation, I'd be very surprised if this wasn't made by the legendary Richard Williams, or at his studio, or at the very least by an alumnus of that studio. Just look at the movement and detail in every frame, without noticeably resorting to smear frames. Not that Williams was above smear frames, nor should he have been, but that's not the style we're going for here. We're trying to emphasise class, albeit in such a way as to undercut it at the punchline.
But I'm much smarter than you.
Hey, look! Why is she going for one of those Nabisco Thrifties packs again?
They've got plenty of variety, dear.
A beautiful selection, and they're pennies cheaper. Delicious creams, wheaty digestives, and lovely shortcakes.
Nabisco Thrifties.
And obviously it helps that everything visible bar the main figures remains static throughout. But what we have here is almost akin to ballet. Not only is it downright graceful, but every object is in constant motion and constantly acting, whether it's the focus or not. That's the care and attention to detail Williams taught the likes of Eric Goldberg to bring to Disney. It's the kind of thing that's not only gone missing from mainstream animation, but is actively being avoided to save money and maintain brand integrity and shit like that. I'm now looking forward to finding out that it was actually made by Oscar Griot or Sergio Simonetti, rather than anyone connected to Williams, which it might well have been. Griot in particular is an animation god on the same level as Richard Williams. I feel like if he'd made this it would have been more stylised, but on the other hand there's very little guarantee that I actually know what I'm talking about. I should probably put that in disclaimer at the start of the programme.
Simply wrapped to save you money.
Finally, iced creams.
Ever wished everyday ice creams were fruitier? Toffier?
Is that how he ate it in 1978? Just cut out an oblong and put it on a plate to be tackled with a fork? Had the scoop not been invented? Had soft serve not been invented?
Well, now they are, with new Lion's Made Gold Seal in big litre packs.
Yes, the much-missed Lion's Made brand, from back when J. Lyons and Company were one of Britain's leading food manufacturers and brand custodians. Back then it was a straightforward war between Lion's Made and Walls. Lion's Made was inescapably girlier and more childish, with that logo and all. Walls just had the better variety. So they won in the end. Sorry about that. I say much missed. Lion's Made technically exists once again today, but in a very low-key way as a sub-brand of Nestle's joint venture, Frenary, who are most notable for justifying the existence of Bodmin by having a plant there. Incidentally, Cornwall makes the best ice cream in the country. No brag, just fact. Anyway, back to 1978, when ice cream indulgence was somewhat easier than today.
There's butter almond toffee in caramel toffee, real strawberries in strawberry crush, crunchy hazelnuts in chocolate nut sundae. 6 tantalising flavours.
You can get flavours like that in Tesco value packs now, and they're probably still delicious. I mean, it's ice cream for Christ's sake. It's like that Woody Allen line about how the worst sex he ever had wasn't that bad. Meanwhile, the absolute top of the range these days tends to be the same thing, only ostensibly, probably actually, better, and more foreign sounding to boot. We basically reached the achievable luxury limit a while back, you see. At about the time, bold detergent became available in crushed silk and jasmine. After that, there was nowhere left for the top end of the market to go, but the same variations with more expensive ingredients. The Proles have raspberry ripple ice cream, for instance, whereas the very top end of the market has gelato with Madagascar vanilla and a swirl of finest Hereford raspberries. 1978 was a much more innocent time in that respect.
6 tantalising flavours.
All at everyday prices.
Oh yes, it was also a time when we had bugger all money, if you can imagine such a thing. So our adverts, particularly the ones for explicit luxury goods like these, like to reassure us that we really could afford all this stuff, honest.
So why dress up everyday ice cream? Just look for the gold seal.
On Sunday, from ATV, speedway action between Coventry and Hull features in Sunday Sport. That's at 2 o'clock. Moving on to the evening, there's an all-star cast all aboard the Love Boat at 7:15. And would you believe Bernard Manning is the star of the Paul Daniels Blackpool Bonanza at 10 minutes past 8.
Oh, I can believe that. I just wish I didn't. Nice cork, by the way. So that's 1978, the height of the last summer before the long winter of rubbish in the streets and placards in every hand. It's hard to imagine the Imperial Leather family being terribly popular during the Winter of Discontent. In fact, the opulence of that advert really does stick out among several subtle and not so subtle references to saving money. The Nabisco Thrifties, for instance, with their utilitarian packaging and its supposed trickle-down effect. The housewife butting into the ice cream advert to put us all at rest about the price. And of course, the sale at DFS. But that happens whatever the economic climate. And that's the episode. Time for me to move on in my never-ending quest to tame the beast within. By which I mean I'm going to get a sandwich. You just sat through a Bob the Fish production. Nice! If you haven't already, you absolutely must check out bobthefish.org.uk. Literally hundreds more videos not unlike that one, adding up to days worth of entertainment and all absolutely free. But if you're not a cold-hearted skinflint, you can always support us on Patreon. For as little as anything at all, you can make programmes like the one you just watched possible in the first place, and become eligible for bonus material such as glimpses of the book I'm writing about the BBC, monthly riffings on random commercial breaks, the complete archives of the angry political satire magazine Two Sons, and even the odd very occasional bonus video essay unavailable anywhere else. If nothing else, you should prevent me from starving and or freezing to death in the foreseeable future, so that'll be nice. No pressure or anything. You make it what it is.